Hello, and welcome back to the Empower Her podcast. If you are spending time, energy on money on something or someone that doesn't bring you joy, money, or calm in your life, you are wasting your time, money, and energy. And this is what we call the sunk cost fallacy. Okay, so let's talk about it. We're going to talk about mindset today. We're going to talk about the sunk cost fallacy. Okay, so the definition of the sunk cost fallacy is the following. Okay, got this offline. It's the tendency to continue an endeavor, whether it's a project, relationship, investment, decision, simply because you've already spent time, money, or effort on it, even when it's no longer the best choice for you. Okay, so great example of this. We'll talk career today as well, but I think an example that we can all relate to, especially a lot of women, is you're in a relationship with someone, you've spent 2 or 3 years with this person, you've given them all your time, energy, your love, you've tried to make them a better person, you've helped them change, you've helped them grow, you've helped them, in their career, but you're not totally happy, but you feel like you have to stay because you've already invested so much in this. Okay, so I had a relationship, and most of my relationships were like this, I would say, but one of my relationships specifically is someone that I was with, and it was a long time before we were even in a relationship. When we first met, we both had other partners. We wanted to make sure that we were respectful. We, worked in the same place. So there was a lot of not sneaking around, but we just didn't want people at work to know that we were together. We wanted to keep it private. There was so much that we did to lead up to our relationship. We had so many issues at the beginning. He still wasn't over his ex, which nowadays would be such a red flag to me, but whatever. That was not the case back then. There was so much we had to get over, so many negative feelings, so many negative thoughts. There was illnesses that happened, and there was different obstacles I felt that we had to get over to be together. And then when we were finally together, and it felt like, okay, we're kind of calm, there's no major issues right now, I felt like I wasn't happy in the relationship. I felt like I wasn't getting what I wanted in the relationship. And my thought was well, we've tried so hard for this relationship. We put in so much effort. I've put in so much effort. I've tried my best to change. I've gotten him to change. I've worked so that we feel good together. I've spent so much time trying to convince him to spend more time with me, because one of the things, he just loved spending time alone, and he didn't want to spend as much time with me, not because of me, just he liked being alone, but there were so many red flags. And I just kept saying to myself, we've gone through so much. I put so much effort into this. We've tried so hard. I need to make this work. I need to make this work. But it wasn't making me happy. It wasn't making me happy. And all that time I spent with him after that, I could have spent on myself doing other things that actually made me happy. And of course, looking back, I don't regret it, and I learned a lot. And I don't think we should regret, the decisions we make. We can learn from them. But going forward, I would never do that again. I wouldn't get into a relationship that wasn't great or wasn't bringing me the joy that I actually wanted, just because I felt like I put a lot of energy into it, right? And another example of when we do this is at our job, right? We're at a job for a few years. It's not awful. We like our coworkers. We generally like what we do, but we haven't gotten a raise or a promotion in 2 years. We're not getting the recognition that we want, right? But you stay in the job because you know the people, it feels comfortable, you don't hate the work environment, but you won't take the next step, right? Again, this happened to me as well. I was at my company for 7 years, and I did get promotions quite frequently. I got 4 or 5 promotions in that almost 7 year time, which is a totally good trajectory. But the last, I quit in 2022, and since 2019, I was not happy. I was not happy the last 2.5 years. I felt alone. I felt like what I was doing wasn't fun anymore. I didn't enjoy my day-to-day tasks. I love my teams and the people I worked with, so it wasn't that. Of course, there was, people I didn't enjoy working so closely with, but we set boundaries where we could. But in general, I loved my teams. I believed in the company. I liked the environment, in general, but I stayed a lot longer than I wanted to because I was scared of change. I was scared of going off and doing my own practice. I was scared of looking to find another job because at first, before I started coaching, I was even just looking at other jobs and applying and interviewing and seeing how that would go. And I just was really scared to change, to do something new because what I knew was this company, and that's what felt comfortable to me. And I work with so many clients, and I find that this is such a huge block for so many of my clients. Obviously, I've been in these situations as well, right? Especially I work with a lot of career coaching clients who are trying to find their next career move or transition. And a lot of them come to me and say, hey, I have a degree in this. I've worked in this field for a long time. I don't know if I should pivot. I'm scared to pivot, but they're telling me they're not happy, but they're scared to pivot, right? And this comes from this is scarcity mindset is what we would call it, right? This feeling again that you've invested so much, it's sunk cost fallacy, but it comes from a scarcity mindset of feeling like if we change, it won't be better. If we change, it won't bring us the actual joy that we want. But at the end of the day, if you're not feeling happy, joyful, making money, making friends, whatever your goal is in that given situation, if you're not doing those things, then it's going to affect your mental and physical well-being at the end of the day. And if it's affecting your mental and physical well-being, well, then it's not serving you. So we can only go up from here. Something I tell my clients a lot is like, if you're not 100% happy where you are right now, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job you're at, this is the lowest it's going to be, right? It can only go up from here. It can only go up from here because you're going to have all the tools and strategies you need to find what's better for you. And especially when we talk about, which a lot of my clients are high achieving, I have neurodivergent clients, we're talking about people who are often extremely invested, deeply invested in their careers. And because of that, there's a lot of shame and guilt around wanting to change or do something different, which is totally normal. If we think about it from a generational perspective, right? Boomers, like the boomer generation, they had their jobs for their whole life. They were at the same company their whole life. Now, what we're being told, and the recommendation is every 2 years, if you don't get a promotion, next, right? You want to keep moving up, right? And so understanding what it is that you actually want versus what's the expectation, right? You could literally, like, there's people who, became doctors and spent, 8, 10, whatever years it is, plus residency, all of that, spent all that money going to school and then ended up quitting or changing their job, right? But you could easily fall into sunk cost fallacy and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I spent all this time and energy on school. I learned so much. This is like a very specific trade, right? And I no longer want to do it, but I'm still going to because I've already spent so much time and energy, right? And that's a sunk cost fallacy. That's what we want to get rid of, because why couldn't you spend the second half of your life doing something completely different than what you spent the first 20, 30 years of your life practicing for? Why couldn't you change? And change can be uncertain, right? Change can be scary. And that's where it comes from, right? Because as a whole, humans are conditioned to focus on maximum pleasure and minimum discomfort, minimize their discomfort. And change can often be super triggering. Change can feel like, oh my God, our nervous system is out of whack. We're unsure of what's happening. It's going to cause us a lot of stress, right? Like, it can be super uncomfortable for us to change, right? Which is normal. And again, this is why the sunk cost fallacy is something we can easily fall into, because even though it's not great, even though our job's not great, our relationship isn't great, it's what we know. It's what we know. It doesn't require change. You just keep doing what you're already doing. So why would you leave a job that's okay for when you don't know that it's going to be like, right? This also taps into this fear of change, also rejection, right? A lot of people feel like they're going to be rejected, right? Like, if you're in a relationship with someone, you're saying, well, it's better than being single, because if I'm single, I'm going to have to date and then I'm going to get rejected, and I don't want to get rejected. Same thing with job searching. Well, at least I have a job, right? If I have to job search, I'm going to have to interview, I'm going to get rejected. I don't want to feel that rejection. So rejection is a big part of sunk cost fallacy, something that comes up for you, right? And that's why it's important to work on these mindset. I talk about mindset so much. Mindset is such it's such a crucial, dire part of all of these scarcity mindsets that we feel, regardless if it's sunk cost fallacy, regardless if it's, money mindset that we have, negative money mindset, negative self-talk, like whatever it is, it all comes from a place of scarcity, right? Because again, putting yourself out there, the fear of rejection, the fear of change, that's all scarcity. We're scared because we don't know or we don't think that something positive could come out of a given situation. And newsflash, it's possible that it's going to be hard. It's possible that that change you're doing is going to look different than you expected. But at the end of the day, is that such a bad thing? Is change such a bad thing? Is rejection such a bad thing? Instead of looking at rejection and saying, okay, I'm rejected, it means I'm not worthy, it's saying, we could reframe it to say something like, okay, I was rejected from this, so this obviously isn't a good fit, or the universe had a bigger plan for me, like if you're into spirituality, and I'm going to learn from this situation, and let's see what else I can learn from it and what we can make changes on, right? Same with change. Instead of change being like, oh my God, it's so scary, I don't know what's going to happen, etc., we could look at change and be like, ooh, it's the unknown. Something better is going to happen. Something even more amazing is going to happen than I ever thought could happen, right? We could also look at it that way, right? What's stopping us? It's only our own mind that is stopping us from looking at things in abundance versus looking at things in scarcity. That is the only thing that is actually stopping us. So focusing on the positives of the change or focusing on what we do want can be helpful rather than focusing on what we don't want or focusing on what we don't have or focusing on that scarcity mindset can be a really good mindset shift, right? To understand that. And we want to think about like, what can we take from this opportunity, right? This new opportunity that we have, what can we take from it, right? And what I want you to think about is, and the truth behind this and the hard truth is that staying stuck, whether it's in a job, whether it's in a relationship that you're not happy in, costs more than leaving. It costs more than leaving. You could spend another 2 years waiting for a promotion versus if you left and interviewed for 6 months, you could get that higher salary within that 6-month period. Or being in a relationship that you aren't happy in, spending another year in that relationship, you could have spent that year going to therapy, working on yourself, spending time with friends, making amazing memories with your family, hustling at your job, right? You're losing out by being in a situation that doesn't serve you. By staying stuck, it's costing you more than leaving. So we think sunk cost fallacy, like we've put so much effort, time, energy, money, whatever it is, we need to get our return, when in reality, it's going to cost you more in the long run, okay? It's about understanding how you can move through this. So a couple of ways, like we kind of already touched on this, but how to kind of get over the sunk cost fallacy and how to get to the other side. So focus on what you learned, okay? So shift away from, oh, this is wasted time, to shifting to this was a valuable experience, right? So again, like I always say, like I don't regret it. Like my relationship that I had that I spent too much time in, I don't regret it because I learned what I do and what I don't want in a relationship. And my next relationship after that was my husband. And now we have a really great relationship and I learned so much from that time. Right? Again, something I already mentioned, but thinking of change as exciting and positive, right? Having that abundance mindset, thinking like, I can't wait to see what the universe has in store for me. I can't wait to see what's going to happen, right? Looking at it from that perspective as positive and abundant rather than having that scarcity and negative mindset. Another tip is to try making small changes. I know for a lot of people, making like big, massive changes can be overwhelming, right? And I totally understand. So try doing small things, right? Like if you want a new job, instead of like quitting your job one day to the other, like practice networking, like reach out to people on LinkedIn, have informal chats, maybe apply to a job or two, right? Change your routine at home, right? If you're in a relationship, start spending less time with your partner and more time with friends. Like just do some minor changes to see how you would feel in the situation. And then the last tip, which I think, goes without saying and is the most important, is self-compassion, okay? And it's okay to let go of what no longer serves you. Having that self-compassion and saying, it's okay. It's okay to not want those things anymore. It's okay to change. It's okay to have a different opinion than I used to have, right? Remind yourself consistently that you love yourself and that you're doing this for the greater good of yourself, right? Like, we want to live happy, abundant lives. Can you really do that if you're in a situation that doesn't bring you the joy that you're actually looking for? Something to think about, okay? I hope you liked this episode. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, I would really appreciate a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this. Wishing you all an amazing week, sending you so many positive vibes, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.